But some interesting news in the world of Web3 here. Solana has been very active because of the casino shitcoining that's been happening there. And it seems like all this Pump.fun was the thing that was mostly keeping Solana afloat. But now, since Justin Sun of Tron fame has copied this, it looks like everybody's going to shift over to Tron. I'm not exactly sure why they would do that, but apparently it looks like it's happening somewhat. Maybe this is to capitalize on the lower market cap or the price of Tron and to see if that wave can't be ridden up. But if we see Solana take a significant downturn, maybe because of this. So if you're a betting man and you're watching this volume go down on Solana, it may be the time to take a quick look at Tron. I particularly do not like Tron. I think they've got one of the worst reputations of all time, but who knows? Maybe it'll be something interesting. Lucas, are your Tron bags full?
Ha! Are you kidding me? I thought Tron was gone.
Is Tron gone?
Is
Yes
Tron
sir, yes sir. 3 bags full of my Tron bags.
I thought the sun had set. Yeah, yes sir, yes sir.
Oh my God, you're just killing it, man. The sun has set.
Well, and I've seen Justin. I've seen him. I don't know, reaching for relevance. In a couple of. He keeps offering what $100 million for this, $100 million for that. I couldn't even
Well,
remember.
well, remember when Germany was selling off their Bitcoin bag, Justin Sun offered to buy it. Remember
Okay,
that?
that was one of them. That there was something else recently that I saw Justin Sun like raising his hand and waving a flag, and I said, why is he trying to draw attention to himself? What do you remember? What else he recently offered millions of dollars for?
No, if he offered millions of dollars for something, I totally missed that.
I'll look it up. Maybe it was for Richard Hart's hand in marriage. The I'll, but no, I don't. I hold no Tron. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in trading shitcoins on Solana nor Tron. So
It was this. This is the one I'm talking about here. When was this? This was
there was one that was like last
July
week.
4th.
It may have been. It may have had something to do with the legal defense for Kim.com.
This is an unfortunate jacket for Justin Sun to wear because with the hair color that he's got and then this jacket, it looks like he's rocking a hardcore mullet here.
We missed the 20th anniversary of because this is trying to make fetch happen. That's what we see right here, and we missed the 20th anniversary of Mean Girls. So shame on us.
Well, the re-release musical that they did of Mean Girls is an affront against all things,
I did not see the re-release of Mean Girls.
Oh, it's bad. Even preteen girls say that the new Mean Girls isn't as good as the old one. So you really flubbed it when that happens.
I how could you mess up Mean Girls? But no, let me look up the other reason Justin Sun was in the news. But no Tron. Remind me what happened with Tron. I've never engaged in Tron. It was never something I was a part of. I thought it rubbed years ago.
I don't think so. Let me take a look at the chart on Tron. I'll get it pulled up. But I remember that Justin Sun was involved in the whole Terra Luna thing, I think. I don't know if you recall that.
That okay. That's
He,
yeah.
he he had a hand in that debacle.
debacle. I was talking about a debacle today, and then I decided to use frenetic. Um, I've been not just liking posts, but responding in the comments. It's so much more fun. It's good to know. There's something to the algorithm of Twitter, of X.
Yeah, see, look at this. Tron's just pumping, man.
Well,
not an all-time high, but just definitely on an upward tick. Like you could have gotten Tron at a penny.
Maybe it pays to be offering $100 million every time somebody has a piece of art.
I don't know. I'm not getting in on Tron at like what is almost all-time high again here, 16 cents. Like, look at this. We're back to almost all-time highs on Tron. That's pretty wild. And look at this volume. Well, Justin, you've done something here. Just look at that volume. Like it was at dang near zero in the 2020s, and now here 4 years later, we're almost at 5 to 10x volume.
Must be the jacket.
Must be the jacket.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what else there is to say about Tron, but if you're watching, check it out. But here's something that I think is actually more substantive in the world of Web3, because I'm always all about real world use cases. How can crypto do it better? This to me is just absolutely gobsmackingly cool news, breaking stuff. Like this, first off, I didn't even know we had any other stable coin besides USD. But apparently we've got Euro issued by, this is the circle logo, right? That little white bars on the left and right.
Oh yeah, it's the circle logo, and I pulled up the circle webpage to dig into it, but I don't see when they launched it. But it's available on Avalanche, on Base, on Ethereum, on Solana, on Stellar.
I guess this just flew under the radar. Like, when did they?
Oh, in circulation as of August 22nd, 2024.
Okay, so we barely missed it.
Yeah, it just last week, and they.
And what is this Mika? What's this thing?
Mika's an artist.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
Europe compliant.
Maybe a California regulation. I don't know. Mika
markets and crypto asset regulation.
Is this an international?
I know that they had so I think MI has a lot of regulatory prefixes, because I worked on a project and it had a MiFID compliance. So this is Mika. So this must be fairly new as well. Yeah, this is within the last year. They published June. But look at how early this is. Like, they're saying they're compliant, but like this isn't even barely been finalized. What is this? Entry into application Title 3 and Title 4.
Mika is under the European Commission, by the way.
Well, I mean, clearly that's why. But okay. So why is this important? Like, we always gotta say a little bit about why this means something, right? So the key takeaway here is look at these percentages. So if you were to swap your USD for Euro via Western Union, you're going to get hit with an 8.6% fee. PayPal, who said, well, we can beat Western Union, we'll do it at 7.7. And here we go, Uniswap at 0.02. This is just gobsmackingly low. Like, this just destroys any kind of Forex business. So if either Western Union or PayPal, if they had significant revenues based on this, if Circle makes a reasonable app that allows you to do this and then cash out, like if you can go get your euros in some kind of a card, like a debit card, or if you can get this out of an ATM, this is big news. This is huge.
We'll also look at the settlement times on those. 1 business day, 5 to 10 days, 2 to 5 seconds.
Yeah. So here, this is an example of crypto doing it better, right? I think for everything that we've been talking about within the world of crypto, like, can we do NFTs and can we do, you know, car titles and whatever? We can't forget that, and our stablecoin video really talked about this. Like, stablecoins are the premier use case for crypto because it's the money thing. If we keep focusing in the world of crypto on money and stablecoin interfaces, this is a huge part of what the world needs to do. And this foreign exchange, I mean, this happens. So, you know, if Circle can really capture this ability to do foreign exchange through Uniswap, then that's huge. I don't know that this is entirely genuine though, because if you're doing this on ETH, then this 0.2% may not be the whole story here, because you still got to pay ETH gas fees, I think, to operate Uniswap. So I don't know that this is 100% genuine for it to be advertised this way. But on some other chain that had consistently low fees, or, you know, wherever else Circle might go, this could be big news. So I'm not sure that this is best done on ETH because of the variability on gas prices, but still very, very cool and interesting to see Web3 doing something that has been traditionally done outside of the world of crypto and doing it significantly better. The settlement time is better, the fees are better. We just, the only thing here that's missing in this post is to not talk about the gas fees.
This is true, but they're also, you know, Solana has low gas fees. I know it's not a decentralized blockchain, but
Well, this is where something like Ripple, you know, I think might.
absolutely, I didn't see that if it was on XRP, but
Well, I don't think it is. If we can go back to that the other whatever Circle's plans are here. It may be harder for them to get this Mika compliance on Ripple or something else, because maybe they've got a. I don't know. I'd have to look into this a bit more to see what's really going on here.
well, and in some ways, I mean, Ripple XRP is it's kind of design. It seemed to me the idea of
Well,
behind
wait a minute. What's this multi-chain? What it says it's
yeah.
on Ethereum, but like what other chains?
It's on Avalanche.
Where
It's
do
on
you see where do you see that?
multiple blockchains, global access. It's on Avalanche, on Base, on Ethereum, Solana, and Stellar.
Base. Okay. You know, that might be the kill. Oh, I see. It's right here.
Yep.
Yeah, EURC on Base. Okay, and it's on Solana.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Stellar Lumens. How does Stellar Lumens continue to exist?
I don't know. I've never I've never I've never heard anybody using Stellar. So there must be
I've always liked Stellar as a way to bag stuff around. I think it's this one.
you know I know a baseball glove company, and I remember talking to their CFO, and I do believe they paid several employees in a foreign country in Lumens. So that might be
Okay. Well, if you're looking for alpha, this might be it right here.
ooh.
If Circle does this on Stellar Lumens, now this is a chain that just operates super hot. So when I said I've used this thing to bag value around, so there are some chains that just run hot and have, you know, pretty low value. So Stellar is one of them. So you pay relatively low fees. So if you're just trying to get value into an exchange, you can go get Stellar on something like Kraken or a Coinbase, and then bag it into an exchange that doesn't have support for doing fiat conversion. So these unbanked exchanges. So you get your value in via Stellar and then swap it for whatever. So like back a long time ago when I was trying to buy Chia, I would actually bag value into the exchange using Stellar because it was so fast, and then I'd swap it for Chia after bringing it into the exchange. So that was something that I've used Stellar before.
And when you say it runs hot, then you mean fast transaction times?
Yeah, the Stellar network is really low block times. And these guys were very famous for having integrated into Keybase. I think it was the only wallet that ever integrated into Keybase.
Oh, that's kind of a flex. Keybase, I always think of Keybase as being uh, a communication, whatever app for an interesting way of of identification on Keybase, wasn't it? You had to provide several different accounts rather than just an email account on Keybase.
Yeah, Keybase had this cool feature where you could do multiple proofs. So you could go out to various social networks and whatever, and you could say, I'm verifying my Keybase account. So you could say, this is me on Keybase because I'm proving it on these various different ways. And so it was this way to assert identity through multiple different validations. And if you say, if I know that this person is this person on X and this person is on Facebook and this person is on GitHub, then I'm pretty confident that this account on Keybase is that as well. So they Stellar integrated with Keybase, and then they did an airdrop to all the Keybase users, which I thought was just a brilliant way to do an airdrop because you had this Sybil defense kind of a thing.
What do you mean a Sybil defense?
Well, when you do an airdrop, it's really easy for some people to just game the system by creating lots and lots of wallets or lots and lots of addresses, and then they get a larger share of the airdrop than you might want to give them. I mean, if somebody creates 50,000 wallets, do you want to give them 50,000x the airdrop? You probably don't. Probably want to give it to, some number of users because you're trying to get dispersion amongst actual humans. And so when you talk about a Sybil attack is when you're creating a lot of fake accounts to try and make it look like there's more usage or whatever. And so this is something that most social medias have been struggling with because they allow people to create accounts and they're pseudo anonymous, whatever. You can get verified and you can get a check mark, but it still allows you to create a lot of accounts. And so if you can thwart that, then that's sometimes called a Sybil defense, or it's a Sybil attack, the Sybil.
And where does the word Sybil come from? Do you know?
No,
Is it a reference to Greek mythology?
maybe.
Oh, it comes from the book Sybil, which is a case study of a woman with multiple personality disorders. So it's an MPD. It's blockchain MPD, um, or multiple personality order. Interesting. By the way, I see that you put gauntlet in the title. Did you know that it was originally gauntlet?
No.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, see, here's the Sybil attack. When you use a single node to create many fake identities or Sybil identities, undermine the authority or power in a reputable system. So this is where, Mario Nawful having n number of users. It's been speculated that a lot of those initial users that Mario had were all fake, and that he didn't really have anywhere near the following that he did, and he shouldn't have ever had the prominence that he's gotten at this point. And that he did that through a Sybil attack, and that a lot of the accounts that are out there that you see that have hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of users, that they don't really have, that those aren't real.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who listens to Mario Nawful for information. Um,
Well,
and
he gained prominence because I think it was Elon himself who started showing up and being on his stuff, and really actually kind of gave him a big boost. But I think that he only got those initial engagements with Elon because he had those big numbers, and I think there was him.
yeah,
Maybe I can even find it.
yeah. I mean, I know, and I totally agree. But I'm just saying that. Well, I don't. I never even listened to the Mario Room because it is a heated, like fast paced exchange of I don't know. Just it seems to me to be like the Maury Povich show rather than the Phil Donahue show. Um, lots of emotional attacks on there. So anyway, and I had to wonder how much Elon was
Yeah, in case anybody wants to look up on this, I'll throw this in the actual show notes. But there have been multiple articles written that said that this Twitter star, whatever, didn't really have the right amount of following that he should have had. And you can see this through engagement. It's one of the ways that there could be a feedback loop on any of this stuff. If somebody posts something and it gets pitiful engagement, nobody's responding, nobody's liking, retweeting, reposting, whatever, then it's pretty dubious that person actually has the following on X that they really say they do.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that Elon must have known that, and yet he participated. He didn't remember whenever Elon first bought Twitter and was implementing the check marks, and he was talking about the bot problem, and but he didn't seem to pick his battles in which bots he was fighting on Twitter. So anyway,
I remember he said he was going to purge the bots. And look at this. This was even why is this grayed out? I don't get it. What's going on here? Anyway, so this article was what published on April 4th. Yeah, he has not squashed the bots at all.
no,
I know this because I see these accounts sometimes where they'll have very, very similar profiles. They'll have very similar followers. They'll have very, very obvious posts that they do. You can see the bots, and I don't know why Elon's team has such a hard time shutting these down.
I don't know that they want to shut them down. I mean, it seems to me that instead of shutting them down, um, they did other things like show, rather than just the likes, they show the views, and part of that goes to the monetization of Twitter. And uh, I have to wonder what kind of metrics somebody who's looking to advertise on Twitter sees, because if it's not a blue check marked account, then I'm not actually interested, or I don't necessarily give it the I don't believe it's not a bot. I mean, but there are many people who do, and there are many people who believe all of the numbers that they see immediately on a space or on a tweet. And I think that it's a lot of fluffing of the numbers in order to try to sell more ads. So,
But speaking about why we're on this topic at all, it's like we were saying, we were talking about Stellar and how they integrated with Keybase, and there was a Sybil defense. So Stellar did an airdrop on Keybase, and so if they're doing EURC on Stellar, this could be one of those chains that is pretty reliable. Like, this network actually works pretty well, and if they use that as the rails to do this, I bet that Base is probably going to be the premier one, because this has gotten such a large amount of dispersion.
Has Base? I haven't heard of it much since Coinbase launched it. It seemed to have some attention then, but Solana seems to have kind of taken the lead in some of those options. And to me, like, Solana's low gas fees would, when I'm using USDC, I much prefer Solana than especially Ethereum, because of Ethereum's gas fees. So
How's Solana's reliability these days, or are you not actually actively using it on a?
Yeah, I haven't used it in months. I haven't had any reason to be sending crypto to anyone, and I'm not interested in any NFTs nor anything else on Solana. But for
Well,
sending,
maybe in your next European vacation, you'll have to tell us how your FOREX on Solana.
yeah, I'd like to see if I can buy some Bree in Solana. So interesting that Algorand isn't um, and Cardano. You know, it was interesting to with the conversation in Cardano yesterday. But when I was looking into Cardano in preparation yesterday, it was fascinating how how much the Cardano community and articles that talk about Cardano also talk about Algorand, and yet none of you never hear Solana base nor Avalanche mentioned in the same breath of any of those. So it's just kind of interesting how the some people seem to gravitate towards different groups of crypto when talking about it. We never hear of Hedera anymore either. Not to bring that up.
This is funny. This is the only stable coin I could find. What is the revolution here? This is what is this 1-to-1 backing? What's the revolution here? This is just a counterparty risk.
This is a Cardano stablecoin.
Yeah, apparently.
So, where do you see what is the revolution?
See, it's Cardano. I'm making fun of it. It's like, what's the revolution on this? It's like use this. It's a revolution in digital asset management. Like, there's no revolution here.
Oh,
This is this is the tried and true path with the counterparty risks of USDMs. Whoever is custodying their USD falls apart, then you're just back into that same old problem. So whatever, you got to trust their custodian.
yeah. Well,
But the guys that are engaging in this whole USD or sorry, this stable coin stuff, like this is where the money's being made in crypto. I'll tell you, anybody that's getting into this stuff, Circle is just on the reverse repo was making a ton of money on USD, but if that starts to go away, because I heard that reverse repo rate is not going to keep persisting, then this whole carry trade on holding USD might have a significant problem, but it's definitely boosting treasuries. But again, this whole idea that there's a risk-free rate of return on treasuries, who knows if that's going to actually persist.
when you say reverse repo rate, what do you mean reverse repo rate?
So there's like an overnight lending rate that if you take your USD and deposit it, not at the Fed, but like some Fed window thing, then you can earn a percentage on it. So a lot of
Oh, you're talking in traditional finance, or
yeah,
with
well, I mean, that's what they're doing with these stable coins, right? You take USD and then you're holding on to it and you're issuing some digital asset backing it one for one. Well, how do you make money by doing that? Well, you take that USD that's on deposit and you go put it to work. Well, they're not like doing anything that interesting. They have to do the safest things possible. But if you have a big enough pile of money and you don't have to really do any work, then you're essentially just getting rent on the cash.
for sure. And this is where the interest rates of from the Federal Reserve are so important, and also why I worry uh, that we hear talk that the Federal Reserve is looking at lowering their interest rates.
See, here's this reverse repo thing.
Mhm.
Now, why they need this liquidity, I don't really understand. Like, why does the Fed want to try to get dollars back in? This to me has never really made a ton of sense. But like, there's a rate that you can get when you go deposit money into this reverse repo thing, and the Fed pays you money on it. But like, why they want to get dollars back when they can print dollars? I've never really understood what the function of this was supposed to be. But banks have been using this, and a lot of other institutions have been using this to get rent on large piles of dollars.
Well, this goes to this is a type of seniorage. Um, you know, and I think about the clearinghouse, like part of the you know, when I was first interested in crypto, it was because of the clearinghouse window, and I was blissfully unaware of inflation, or in larger parts um, how the monetary system worked. But it seemed suspicious to me that banks got to hold on to money. You know, if I wrote a check to a bank, they got to sit on that money for 2 weeks and put it in a money market fund, and you know, create what we might think of as a liquidity pool in crypto, and make money off the interest of that. Which so, you know, when PayPal first came around, it was aimed at at uh, uh, you know, using electronic banking on the dollar system, but doing so more quickly with a smaller window of of uh, of settlement that was more efficient and than the old 2 week window. And I remember they moved that settlement window down to a couple of days. And it was last year with the implementation of FedNow that that they finally reduced it again, and also opened up settlement on the weekends too.
Well,
So
it just seems like almost every single business turns into this at some point. So here's an article talking about Airbnb, Expedia. We already have talked about how Starbucks is doing this. So any business that gets to substantial size, it seems what they do is they look at how their customers do business with them, and then they'll try to trap their money in some way for some period of time, and then get rent on the cash that they've trapped from customers. So I mean, Airbnb is doing this because if you go book something, you you have to put a deposit down on the spot that you want to travel to, but they don't turn around and give that money to the facility. They just sit on it. So if you're booking something out 3, 6, 9 months in advance, Airbnb gets the rent on that money, on that deposit. The other party does not get that rent. And so this is how there's like a carry trade that's going on with Airbnb and Expedia and whatever. So if you can act as the middleman and take customer deposits, then you can just print money. I think Airbnb, like a substantial amount of their revenues, just comes from this particular thing. It's really substantial.
absolutely, and this is why why I think I don't know, the subscription windows are so very interesting. You know, if you pay everything a year in advance, for your house rent, or for your cell phone bill, or for your internet service, it's a great deal for the company that is that's raking that in, because especially when the monetary base is being inflated in the future. You know, if you pay $1,000 now for instead of or $1,200 now instead of $100 every month, like that's actually more dollars at the end of the year whenever we have inflation in the monetary base. It's also this is why I think it's important to point out that price inflation and monetary base inflation are different, and this is how the Federal Reserve manages that different, to try to trap money into larger windows of larger pools of a promise not to do anything with that money, which is sort of what they're, you know, doing with what's the difference between a money market fund? You can take it out in a couple of hours or a couple of days, as opposed to a treasury bill, bond, or I forget what the longest treasury T bill, T bond. There's one more in there that's that's a longer time window of locking your money in now.
Well, well, it is like a way that the Fed creates market distortions, because the fact that they offer these risk-free rates of return force businesses to analyze this kind of stuff and then go after it, to try and trap money in various ways so that they can seek rent on this, because it's a way for businesses to make money without actually having to provide value to a customer. It's like if you can take deposits somehow, or if you can get customers to put money into your system, and then you have the actual liquidity and you can go get free return on it without actually having to put it to work in a way that would traditionally make money, then it's free money to the company, and so it's too juicy to not pass up. And so that's why I'm saying this is why most businesses tend to start to look like this. They make these distortions into their platforms and then make money this way, and it's what the Fed is doing. So to the extent that the Fed continues to be able to play this game, this is still working. But I think if the world starts to wake up to wanting to use alternative currencies like Bitcoin or whatever BRICS is doing, then this is probably not going to keep working. And so these companies that have you know mostly had their revenues from this kind of stuff, they're gonna have to change up their business model and actually start making money. I'd be surprised if we don't see some kind of an Airbnb competitor in the crypto world, because if you think about what Airbnb is really doing, this one is just a slam dunk to do this in a decentralized way. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some kind of an Airbnb app competitor that rose up to prominence on something like this decentralized internet that we've been talking about, that it is launched on Chia, because essentially you just need to be able to advertise your property, put a bunch of pictures up, and then you need to facilitate payments, and then you need to have some kind of insurance, and all of that could be done on crypto and done better than what Airbnb is doing it.
I agree. And I think we could say the same for all of the other sharing economy businesses. They brought a sort of a matching service, but the sharing economy was uh, maybe to describe the goal in the future at some point, but not what they actually are doing. Um, and so I think that the low transaction costs and settlement times of crypto can actually give people an ability to monetize their assets in a truer way, and using crypto. So I think we'll see that for not just homes, but and part of why I thought that Solomon's Lot was such an interesting project with Matthew Hens. But I think we'll see it for cars. Um, Cars also. Maybe there will actually be the Airbnb for offices too. Um, so anyway, yeah, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to get too gripey about the sharing economy at this point.
Maybe just to round out the show, because I actually gotta cut this a tiny bit short today. But this is one other thing, as we're doing a Web3 roundup. This was definitely big news this week, right? We see that the Chia Carbon market is finally going with aplomb. So now there's Chia offers on Dexy. These are getting put out there. You can retire carbon. And I think Chia had an announcement on this as well. I know you're tracking this one, right? Okay.
Oh yes, I think this is huge news, and I think that um, just that I don't know what everyday retail investors or the everyman has access into the carbon markets is um, is good for carbon markets, but also good for everyone else. Um, I knew that Gene had talked about moving towards this, and Greg also, or Ken had also talked about moving towards this, but it's um, I think I think that the whole carbon credit, the carbon credit space is pretty contentious, because some people don't want to believe in it, don't believe in it, but it's something that we're going to see in the future, um, and and giving people access into it as a market is the way to bring fairness to it. So
Yeah, I think regardless if you whether you believe in this whole carbon thing and the ESG, it largely pivots on the whole Paris Accord, right? If the Paris Accord is being adhered to, then there's a certain amount of carbon that is allowed to be emitted, and then if you need to emit more, then you have to buy these carbon credits. And I think what has been established through this whole project on Chia is that you can do the registration of projects, that you can tokenize them, and then you can retire those those carbon credits, and you can do all of this provably. And the fact that you can do all of this stuff and it's been demonstrated is a poster child and a use case for what crypto can do. So as we keep talking about what are the real world use cases of crypto, I think we've done a pretty good job, at least in this episode, of talking about the ways that we're seeing it happen, right? Like I think it's one thing to replicate something in Web3. It's another thing entirely to do something better. I don't think there's another way that you could actually have pulled off a carbon market that would be provable, fair, and that would not allow for multiple use of projects. And because that was the big problem with this whole carbon thing is you would create a binder, and that binder would say, here's everything that we did on this carbon project, and then there's no way to know that you haven't sold that thing multiple different times. So this whole idea that you could register the project and you could have all of the information about how you did some carbon reduction project in some place, and then that thing could only get registered once. That's what the whole climate action data trust was about. It's the data and the trust and its registry, and then this next steps of tokenizing it and then allowing for the retirement of that carbon so that the project can be have all of its carbon accounted for. This is a huge accounting problem, and to have pulled this off in Web3 is a huge kudos to the team that did this and to Chia itself. So the fact that this is now happening in real time and that you can go buy carbon on Dexy, it really boils down to whether you buy into the Paris Accord, and a lot of nations have. So this is still happening. It's the jury's out on whether carbon really is the right thing to laser in on. But the fact that this all occurred in Web3, I think, is pretty substantive, and it's cool to see it finally coming to completion, and that this whole you can buy carbon and retire it now being in full fruition. It's the end of a long, long road of trying to get this working in the world of Web3.
there's also the this last piece of it, the open market, and I think the openness of the market is what is so crucial to actually make it work, because those who have been very wary of the Paris Accord, been wary of government control, government setting prices, all of this narrative about that. Um, I think that the openness of the market, the ability for people to use a decentralized exchange and to not only buy carbon credits but also to sell them to that, to me, is what's going to be the most crucial part in making a carbon market work. So and also having it open to everybody, not just institutional investors. And so that, to me, is the biggest piece of this. And so we'll see how it goes. I have not bought a carbon credit. I've just seen it. It's been a busy week for me. But lots of
Well, do you have some carbon that you need to offset? I don't know. Do you have some huge carbon footprint?
I mean, if I were to bet, if I were to be making a bet on any asset that was a good buy right now, it would be buying carbon credits. And I think like what is so and Do I have any? No, actually, I mean, I have very little. I have very little guilt about the way that I live, but I live a pretty frugal life. But I think that it's going to. I think it's. I think there will be a point in which people. We've already reached a point in which people pay attention and think about these things, and so uh, yeah, I mean, I've talked about like gold, silver, AU, AG, C, and I think that like an understanding of the importance of carbon. And I know there are doubters and people who talk about methane, etc. too, but in some way this is a another form of specie. And thinking about Bitcoin as specie is one thing, but it's whether you call it proof of work, you got to buy those computers and participate in that network. I don't know. Everybody
Well,
uses
we'll
carbon.
see if the woke AI folks start buying their carbon offsets, because I know that a lot of that AI is running off of coal right now because those nuke plants aren't online yet. So we'll see if OpenAI and the rest of those guys buy their carbon credits.
That woke AI, I would not be investing in AI at all because I think AI is grasping at centralization. And not only that, but you've talked about non-Voiman architecture and FPG FPGAs. I think that we will see advances in computing that are more targeted, but I think that people actually want to make things and want to see things that are made by hand that are natural. I think those are parts of the world that people are missing, and that this notion of efficiency have not provided. So this is also something that gets obliquely. I'm Fox ran a Bobby Kennedy clip about seed oils, and Bobby mentioned in some of his interviews how it's been so how what was it with Tucker, that Fox and so many of the quote unquote conservative crowd didn't want to hear these narratives. But I think they're beginning to understand that we've been told a lie about money, and that lie about money has devalued things that we actually want to bring value to. And so the anxieties about carbon have been that the traditional financial giants were going to have access and control them. So this is why I've also thought that it's very important for them to be utilizing a technology like Chia, so that they cannot control the financial aspects of it, and instead make the financialization of them open to everybody. So we'll see what happens.
This is like the most alpha show that we've had in a long time. We're talking about carbon credits, Tron, stellar lumens, like all stuff that has had substantively depressed price. So if you're checking this out, you're like, okay, there may be a few things to ferret out. But all right, let's call it early for today. This is a great show. Can't wait to talk next week. And yeah, we'll see you then.
All right, have a good weekend. See you next week.